Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another episode of Touching Base here on Fearless Games. Welcome back.
It's been a while.
Well, we finally recovered from some stuff.
This one was sick.
I was a little ill.
He was ill from the fact that James is not here.
Yeah.
I was also poisoning your food.
He broke my heart.
What?
Wait, what?
I was poisoning your food.
Really?
I wanted attention.
I hate you.
So, has anybody got any news?
Yeah, well, looks like we got a book here.
Oh, we do have a book.
The new Tau
We got a thing,
Codex.
a product.
It's delicious and wonderful, and I might have, liquidated several copies to drink to gain their knowledge.
That's not healthy.
It's delicious.
That's bad.
Yeah, especially since it's not the Eldar Codex, so it's not really that good.
Oh.
Those are fighting words.
That's it. Next time, when the Eldar come out in June, you, me, Codex battle.
Indeed, I will beat you with this codex.
I'm picturing you two just whomping each other with the codex.
That's what I was
it
talking.
is. At dawn, we will get together on a sandy beach and take just the codex and beat each other with them.
Yeah.
I'll film it.
And it may be the first time Phil Kelly produces something useful for me.
Alright.
I like Phil Kelly. We won't get into that.
Forward.
Okay, I apologize.
Losing
to everybody.
I
subscribers.
just unsubscribed.
Bleeding subscribers.
You lost the whole Church of Kelly right there. The whole Church of Kelly.
For anyone who is a fan of Kelly, I do apologize.
He doesn't apologize.
Maybe he'll change. Maybe he'll convert me with the new codex. We'll see.
We'll see.
So,
Anyways,
what's going on, dude?
there's more stuff coming from War Machine.
Yep.
They're
The
ramping up.
convergence of
The convergence?
Cyrus.
Or-
That sounds cool.
I think we're calling it Cyrus,
If
right?
it's CYRISS, odds are it's Cyrus.
Yeah.
And
That's where my
you know
mind
what?
is.
You know what? I'm gonna send them an email after this, asking them to get on an interview with us. We'll ask them personally. We'll say,
Okay.
lay it down for us. How do you pronounce it?
Hopefully it'll happen.
Hopefully
Yeah,
you'll
keep
answer.
Keep an eye out.
Yes.
Sure. Awesome.
All of you privateer press people that are watching us, because I know you're fans. They love us.
They do.
Mewtwo's getting a new form. I think that's pretty dope.
So is that like Mew 3?
I wish.
It's not.
it's not an
It's just a new
evolution?
form. No, it's
So it's just Mew
it's a transformation.
2.5.
Wow,
It's like Mew per Saiyan.
Okay.
Wow. I understand that.
He praised
Yeah.
Arceus to put his butt on his head.
Yeah.
Who's Arceus?
Oh, you did not. Oh, it's the god of Pokemon.
There's a god of Pokemon?
Yeah.
They created all Pokemon.
Yep.
What?
But then you get the philosophical question of what came first, Mew or Arceus, because
I thought...
they're two conflicting mythologies.
Yeah. Because he's like.
I'll
the
give you a
first
rundown
Pokemon.
later. I'll give you a rundown later.
That.
I
But
just
anyway,
got my
is there
mind
any
blown
other
on Pokemon.
news?
I don't remember anymore.
Well, if I recently saw this thing online.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know if any of our viewers are familiar with a man named Pat Robertson
I'm
not.
and a show 700 Club.
I'm
Definitely
not.
not.
Well, this man is a right-wing kind of guy. His show, he answers questions, And on his show, he recently fielded a question from a viewer asking if it's a sin to play video games in which the main character does magic if the player, the person holding the controller, does not practice magic in their daily life.
So like if you went and played Harry Potter or
Right,
or like
right,
Bioshock,
or like Skyrim, or
Skyrim
something
is
like
probably
that.
the question in hand, yeah.
Something along those lines.
And
In
which-
answering that question, which his answer was basically, it's not necessarily a sin, but why would you do it? In the same way that it's not illegal to climb a mountain without a harness, but why would you do it?
Yeah.
Run from the dangers of evil kind of answer.
Yeah.
In answering the question, however, he specifically referenced Dungeons and Dragons, called it demon worship, and said, I quote, "It literally ruins lives."
So wait, we ruined our lives?
Apparently our lives have been ruined.
Well, you
Please confirm that for us,
you
Internet.
ruined my life.
I ruined your life.
You ruined my
I do remember when you guys were roommates, you kind of ruined each other's lives.
ruined it.
What? Wait a minute. So you mean the last 5 years were just the reason my life is the way it is because I play D&D?
No, I've been getting revenge on you for ruining my life.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
But
Drama.
How does
I
this?
I thought it would be interesting to discuss this concept of like gamer. I don't want to say discrimination because he wasn't like denying somebody a job,
Yeah.
but it's gamer hate, it's gamer prejudice.
It's painting a bad picture.
Gamer bashing?
It's not so much bashing. It's just this still very widespread and real opinion of certain people that gamers are basically black magic practitioners, or sociopaths, or just generally evil people.
I will say I know magic practitioners. None of them play D&D.
There you go.
Just saying. I know D&D.
You know why? You know why? Because D&D does magic wrong.
Yeah, it's true. They get mad about that. They really do. Some of them.
Stop. Just
sorry.
Just stop.
Personal experience.
I wanted to know if you guys had experienced that sort of thing in your lives. You know, something that we can connect with, a way we can sort of come together in our mutual negativity.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I've probably out of all of us gotten the least amount from it, primarily because, in a sense, I don't hang out with people that judge that kind of stuff.
Well, I judge you, but not on that kind of stuff.
Or like the closest thing is probably my parents, but it's to the point where it's like it's not my cup of tea, but I'm not gonna force
but
my
have you ever
opinion on them.
experienced someone who had an actively ignorant opinion?
I'd say there's 2 incidents that I can recall that happened to me.
Okay.
And 1 instance that happened to a friend, well actually 3, and 1 that happened to a friend that was just a great basic bash back at the hate. The first one is when I first started getting into Dungeons and Dragons. It was in college. I came home one day and I was talking with my mom, you know, what's happened going on, any fun things happened at school, and I was like, yeah, you know. And I started, I met the group of people, and I got into playing D&D. And she goes, D&D. D&D, isn't that thing those people killed each other over? And then she kind of started voicing a concern that I was going to start murdering people.
To reference, for the younger viewers out there, back in the 70s, there was a major scare amongst very religious types, and generally more conservative types, and thus parents as a whole, that this new thing, Dungeons and Dragons, was going to corrupt your children and send them to hell and turn them into murderers and witches.
Totally.
It's calmed down since then, but it's something that is still referenced and still comes up.
Wasn't there an event at one point that someone did go to an extreme at one point way back in the day?
There's been that with every hobby. I would not be surprised if there was some cult activity that rallied itself around Dungeons and Dragons and ruined it for everybody. But at the same time, there are people who do that with every hobby.
That is true.
I don't know specifically if there was a major event, but I'm sure there were at least a few isolated.
And I know there was a movie starring Tom Hanks.
Mazes and Monsters.
Look it up. We're not. I can't.
I own it on DVD.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, I love you.
I am 300% done with you. You're not my friend anymore.
It was in a bargain bin for like $2 at Walmart, and I was like, I must know what this is.
The basic premise of that movie is Tom Hanks sees the word cleric in a book and goes crazy.
No, it's like that. They're playing D&D or Mazes and Monsters. D&D. They go and his dungeon master decides to make it a LARP. He's like, I'm gonna make this really cool and an actual event with like monsters in a cave and like stuff. And Tom Hanks gets scared by something, becomes basically schizophrenic, and starts
his imagination,
his cleric character.
His imagination runs wild with him to the point that his mind breaks.
Yeah,
right. So we're moving on from that subject.
I really love that movie. It's so bad.
It's so hard.
There's actually worse movies than that on the same reference.
I am no longer a fearless gamer. I quit.
But anyway, going back on the topic.
I'm afraid.
On the topic. So yes.
What was my second event that I was thinking?
It was your friend.
Oh yes. Well, there was 2 other things. Yes. Another one was I got a lot more of it with video games with my parents. From the time when I was in 6th grade up until I went to high school, every time I asked my parents for a game like Mortal Kombat or something, you know, mature raid game, it would be, it's like a good 5-6 minute drive from the store to my house. That entire drive, I would get now you know this is just a video game and it's all pretend and none of it is real and you shouldn't be doing this, and if you go out and act like this in any straight form, I will personally blah 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 and you'll never play video games and blah blah blah, and I'd have to get this for the entire span.
Major lecture
for like
time.
4 years. I'd get this every time. Granted, thankfully, I didn't get a lot of violent video games, but if there was a violent game, I'd get this speech.
Nice.
And the worst is if we had to do another trip before that, like if we had to go to the doctor's afterwards, then I'd have to get it after.
That's funny. Extended speeches.
I got that a lot with that. And again, it's that whole problem. With that, I feel it's just because, you know, it's like the Columbine incident. One person takes it to the extreme, everyone assumes that everyone's that one person. It's the classic, one person says it, a million people are thinking it.
One rotten apple spoils a bunch, whatever.
Another incident, one of the best basic throwbacks at the stereotype was one of our friends. He had D&D sessions at one of his friends' house, and their mother constantly was talking about how they're practicing, Dungeons & Dragons is the black arts, it's the devil's magic, and all this stuff. And they're sitting there, they're playing in their basement one day, and the mother comes down and goes, "So, what are you guys doing?" And he literally looks her right in the eye and goes, "We're practicing the dark arts." And she just stone-faced him, and then went back up the stairs and wouldn't talk to him for the rest of the day. Okay. It was great.
I don't know if that's a positive
response. It's a great kickback to dealing with that she kept saying this over and over.
It doesn't make the problem worse because that person clearly wasn't going to improve.
Yeah. Fair. But it was a nice.
It felt like a victory. It felt like a victory.
The other worst thing that ever happened was there's a guy that used to work with who was overly religious to the point like he wanted to drive to my house to take me to his church because I wasn't baptized right, because my church doesn't baptize the correct way. And somehow he was in the area, and I got on the topic of Warhammer 40,000, and I accidentally, without thinking about it, brought up that I put LED lights in my tanks to make them look demonically possessed.
Which looks really cool, by the way.
And it does, but you chose the wrong word.
I got a whole lecture on, that's opening the door, man. You shouldn't do that. That's letting in the devil into your heart and your soul, and it's going to corrupt you forever. And I'm like, they're just models. No, I don't sit there and worship these things.
You asked for it.
I know, I did. But that's probably the biggest thing is just so when I have seen it, I've either gotten the very low end or the mad extreme of the spectrum. I've never but I thankfully have not gotten, I've hanged out with a nicer group of people that are more open-minded.
You've never been attacked.
Yeah.
How about you?
I got fun stories. So first off, I never had the parent issue because when I was like 14 and we started playing role-playing games, because we started young, 15, 14, whatever. Oh, man. Yeah. We started playing Vampire the Masquerade right off the bat because we were into that stuff and goth, whatever. And it's a great game.
That blackness in your soul.
But fortunately,
judging.
You should. No, you shouldn't. All White Wolf stuff from 3rd edition White Wolf, I don't know if it still has it, in the beginning of the book has a disclaimer saying, this is just a game, you're not a vampire, you don't have superpowers, if you think that, stop, you're doing it wrong. Or something to that extent.
I think they still have it, they just dumbed it down a lot because people weren't getting the message.
Yeah, and it's a really amusingly written paragraph or two, and I showed that to my mother before we ever started playing in the house. I'm like, look, we're going to play this game. I know, because my mother's very religious, that you don't like this stuff, but here, it's fake, we're just goofing around. It's okay. She laughed. She never bothered us again. We never had an issue. We always played for like the entirety of high school. We played in my basement.
Smart move.
Yes.
I don't know where I got that.
That's a good way to handle it if you think your parents are going to be big on it.
Yeah. So they didn't care about that. Video games also weren't a problem because my dad usually just wanted to play video games with us anyways.
I had my brother with me a lot of it, so I guess they figured that he'd straighten me out.
Like my dad beat Mortal Kombat for us because I couldn't beat Goro. Him and I played.
Goro was tough.
He was tough. Me and my dad used to play Rainbow Six for hours.
Yeah, my dad was a big fan of Solomon's Key.
Yeah. It comes down to it with that. Just parents. You just have to explain, if you have an issue with them, you have to explain to it and be open with them, and parents should be open with their kids and try to understand their hobbies. And yes, if it seems like evil and bad, like, drugs, those are bad, but this isn't really drugs,
drugs, pretending you're fighting demons.
Yeah.
Which would you rather
Your kid's into chemistry, hang out with them, make sure they don't make a bomb in the basement, sure.
Right. But
yeah, anyways.
Like,
stories.
Any good ones?
Any good ones?
There's pontificating.
I like pontifying. I didn't mean to.
Words.
So I did get publicly ridiculed for my gaming preferences at a whitewater rafting campground by like a cashier.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
So I was at like a whitewater rafting campsite or whatever. You can go right for it. Rafting. That's rafting, right?
I just
go on. Canoeing.
Go on.
Rafting.
Whitewater rapid.
So you were whitewater rafting. You were on the rapids. You were risking your life, and someone had nerd. Is that what happened?
No, because it was afterwards. We were at the campsite. I was buying something from the store.
Okay. Was it like a Snickers?
No, I don't usually buy candy when I can.
Was it a D&D rulebook. Is
Yes.
that how they knew?
No.
Because they carry those
Again,
there.
I don't remember what I was getting. I was like, I think we might be getting firewood, because of course there's no firewood in the camp because they collect it all so they can sell it to
And you
It's
needed
fine.
fire to perform the ritual.
Yeah, I was supposed to do my
Summon it
dark
out.
magic.
Exactly.
But anyways, I walked in and I'm a nerd, so I wear like BPRD t-shirts. I remember I was wearing that exact t-shirt. My
BPRD being the paranormal, the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense from Hellboy.
So they would not be practicing dark magic. Just saying.
They'd be fighting dark magic.
Yeah.
But I was wearing that. Some other random dude's like, "Hey, I love that comic." I'm like, "Cool." And then the cashier, she's like, "You in D&D?" Like I can't do the sneer. And I'm like, "Yeah." And then she like berated me for it.
Wait,
What did she say though?
Like that, like the stupid thing. How can you waste her time? And like a lot of mean stuff. None of the dark magic stuff. Just like calling me.
Just
a nerd.
calling you a nerd, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Wait, I want to know where she went from comic
I
books.
don't know.
Right.
Dungeons and
I don't know.
Dragons.
That's like you saying, "Man, I love chicken nuggets," and her going, "You like to."
I have no idea.
Put drugs in your nose. Like,
Yeah.
what? Chicken nuggets to drugs in my
I don't know
nose.
how we got to drugs.
It's like a
I mean, chicken nuggets are delicious.
Yeah.
drugs.
Hey, like, what?
But I definitely got berated for that. That was the one time I also tried to defend myself. I think at the time.
So you didn't pull it off, did you?
No. It
No.
was like,
You just made
I
yourself
don't
look like a
know.
bigger nerd.
yeah.
But
I
it's,
did.
I find the more you try to defend it, the more you just make the problem worse.
More, it really, yeah. But I've
Because it's a
everywhere.
very big topic that everyone's very like.
Has,
I
in the
have
sand.
other one. When I was in middle school, like they used to like kick our magic cards and call us wonderful derogatory names that have nothing to do with gaming preference.
of course.
You know,
Of course.
there's that. There's other stuff. I have one story that isn't mine that
I was
like.
gonna ask if
I have one of James' stories.
Yeah,
since
that's
he's
what I
not
was gonna
here.
ask about. I was gonna
The
ask
Wild
about
Card has some good ones.
It's funny that this happened to him and not happened to me because I was in a Catholic high school and he was in like a public high school, and this happened to him there and not to me where I was. But he was playing Magic, and then some other student like called it the demon's work and devil worshipping, the normal like dark arts kind of
Classic stuff.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, demons, devils, right? Well, I just played Wrath of God. What's that mean?"
In that moment, I also like to picture that he moonwalked out of the room.
I hope he did. Knowing him, he might have.
Or something like that.
I want to know what the guy's response was to that.
I don't think she
There
had a
is no
proper
response.
response.
That's silently walking away because you've just been burned.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
basically,
Like,
the
you
way
need
things
some
usually end
ointment.
with James is when he does something like that, the other person just shuts up and walks away.
yeah, like you need some ointment for that burn.
What about you? Do you have any
Well,
good
you know,
ones?
I have the first like D&D related one that comes to mind didn't directly happen to me, but I didn't get to play D&D or anything like it until college. Mostly because I couldn't find anybody in high school to play with. I had one friend who was down for the idea, but when her mom caught wind of what we were planning on doing, she forbade her to leave the house because she didn't want her getting into the devil worship.
How'd she go to school then? Yeah, I know. I'm being stupid.
Nerds. So that game clearly did not occur.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, well, you know, it happens.
It does.
But moreover, in high school, none of it really came from my parents. My parents have always been fairly cool about my hobbies. You know, unless they've been directly damaging, which they haven't been. So, it was more the administration of my high school. That was the
Really?
problem. A number of times in high school, when it came up in any manner to the administration that I played video games, not so much like. You know, I was playing video games at school because I typically didn't unless it was on my like
Lunch break.
Game Boy Advance, because we didn't have DSs back then.
Nope. Back then, we still had Game Boy Pockets. The Advance didn't
We still
come
had
out.
Game Boys.
Right. But if the administration caught wind about me talking about video games, every time it was another trip to the guidance counselor, and the guidance counselor would go, "Well, you know, do you have any friends? Do you find yourself angry all the time? Do you feel the need to hurt people?
I need to hurt you 'cause you won't stop asking questions
Do you
now."
play violent video games?" And like, I'm playing Pokemon. Like I'm playing Pokemon and like Banjo-Kazooie. And,
I think the favorite was
my video games that I played at the time were the most harmless games of all. I didn't like shooters because I was bad at them.
How that made you feel?
Exactly. I told a guidance counselor I'm bad at shooters, so I don't play them. And like, does that make you angry? I was like, you joking?
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
Oh,
You're
God,
going to go gun down your school because you stink at shooting.
Right. And like video games, they have their own separate stigma, but it's the same sort
general
of approach.
thing.
Mm-hmm. Like people didn't want me to go Colin, but like, I'm playing Pokemon. I gotta catch them all.
He's too busy catching Pokemon, people.
Like I gotta catch every one of them. Be the very best.
They gotta be their friend.
I'm trying to be the very best over here.
You know, you
wasting my
teach
time.
me and I teach you.
Exactly.
Please stop. Please stop. Pokemon maniac.
But I will say I wasn't gonna get really advicey in this episode because I didn't really. It wasn't what I intended.
We don't like being.
But
advicey.
there is like
we do don't. It's not that we don't like being advicey.
It was one of those. I intended it to be
advicey of.
But I will say that it's important to me that I'm able to laugh at these experiences and joke about them, even if I couldn't laugh at them at the time. It's important to me that I be able to do so now because it would poison my hobby. I wouldn't enjoy it as much.
That reminds me. I left out a story.
No?
But continue. Finish your thing.
No, go ahead. You interrupted.
I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
Don't touch me.
Just say it.
Okay. Anyways, so I actually got some lovely discrimination like last weekend.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So we were playing Munchkin in the diner.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Oh, that's fun.
So we play games everywhere, and frankly, the best place to play any game is in a diner, but usually at midnight.
It's food.
when people aren't
Because
around.
people, they give you food and you don't have to prepare it.
Yeah, but we walked in, and my friend had like the special edition Munchkin under his shoulder, under his arm, and the waitress and me was like, "Oh, you guys gonna be here while you're playing a game? Take your time, whatever." And nice big open spot. They were cool with it. The staff there was great. They don't care when we play games.
Yeah.
But we're playing, and we're into it. Maybe we're a little loud, but like the entirety of the people around us, like that's half the diner was just like.
What is happening?
Blackjaw just staring at us like we're crazies.
They're gonna summon Satan to us!
Because like in the middle of it, it's like, okay, what are you? You're an elf. I hate elves. God. Okay, well, that's a Cthulian dragon. Okay, I'm making it smarter. It's the last of its race. No, I'm gluing shiny balloons on it, and you just picked up a duck in a dungeon. By the way, 13. What do you know? You're 15. You're 22 because that's combined.
A barrage of nerd speak.
Constant nerd speak, and we're a little loud, and just really like. After a while, I looked around, I'm like, well, we must make everyone feel really awkward.
Yeah, flood of nerd speak will do that.
Yeah. That was great.
But yeah, before you rudely interrupted me, I was
I'm
basically
sorry.
talking about how important it is not to carry that anger because
Yes.
it'll poison you.
Yes.
There's actually an old Buddhist parable I read recently that it's just fresh in my mind. Where basically it was two monks, one young and one old, were doing it. Were walking down the road when they eventually came across a river. At this river was a young woman who was looking fairly distraught. Would you stop?
Sad. Distraught.
She was looking distraught because she needed to cross the river to get... Alright, fine, I won't tell it.
Stop.
You know what? I won't tell it. No.
Okay, what's that?
You know
What's
what?
that?
Next time, Fearless Gamers, take care.
Stop. We're sorry.
Alright, so she was feeling really distraught because she needed to cross this river, but there was no bridge, and she was trying to go to this festival. And if she crossed the river without a bridge, it would ruin her dress, and it was the worst day ever, you know.
Okay.
So she asked if the monks could help her, if they could carry her across the river. The young monk said, "No, I'm sorry, absolutely not. Our order has forbidden us to touch women. It's just not something we're allowed to do." The old monk doesn't say anything, he just picks her up and carries her across the river. The young monk is livid, doesn't understand, but doesn't say anything at first because he's so mad, can't form the words. A couple hours later, after they've been walking down a little further, he finally brings up to the older monk, like, "Hey, how could you do that? How could you break our order's code and carry this woman?" And the old monk stops and he looks at the young monk and he says, "Brother, I put her down on the other side of the river. Why are you still carrying her?" And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it makes sense. You know, if something upsets you, why are you carrying it with you? It makes you feel bad.
It's like the good old what will you do at work? We always get those events where people get on our nerves and we're frustrated and we
vent.
We knuckle it under. We find another
let
team.
it go.
We find another employee. We vent. We get them going. Oh, I hate when this happens. And then by tomorrow, they're the joke of the day.
It's not worth carrying haters with you.
Yep. And so that's something really important that we as a group have
So not to get preachy, but I felt it was important.
Yeah, it's something that we're gonna have to deal with, and hopefully, the hobby will endure.
Because if when I was brought into the guidance counselor's office and they asked me if I was playing violent video games, if I had let that color my opinion of Pokemon, I would hate Pokemon right now. And I love Pokemon.
He's obsessed with Pokemon.
I'm so stoked for the next gen.
I don't know.
Oh, Chespin.
It's terrible.
Whoa. I'm sorry, what?
I said it. Chespin's gonna be bad. It's not gonna be cool Pokemon. Just saying.
Pokemon hell. Right now.
Okay.
Our eyes have met.
It's on. Like Donkey Kong.
You have to put this music in there. You have to put that over, and this is
I don't
where
think we're allowed to do that.